and it was like brimming with people. Like it was just, they were fucking bursting out the seams, and it was all drunk fucking English guys, and I was just like, well, don't need to be here for that because I can just go home. Action!
Is this thing on? Good afternoon, good evening. I'm Sam Ellie, and this is Lonely Heroes, the show that shares stories and tips with those thinking of moving abroad, those who love London, those who hate London. And speaking of, I have someone on the show who is quite close to me in so many ways.
Hi, I'm Sarah. I'm here to talk about...
And what are you here to talk about? What are you here to talk about, Sarah? You moved away from London.
Correct.
And where is it that you went?
Now I'm in New Zealand, but I went to Australia originally.
How did you end up in Christchurch, New Zealand in the first place?
I was in Australia, I went when I was 21, and then basically I just didn't have another visa, so I was like, I want to go back to that side of the world, and New Zealand was close, or at least I thought it was. It was like in my mind, I was like, yeah, I'm going to be going to Australia every holiday, every few months, but that's fucking expensive, so no one can do that. I mean, people can, I can't. I was there from September 2019, and then it was COVID 2020, so yeah, I ended up just getting stuck there for...
You got stuck?
4.5 years. Not literally stuck, but like if I came home, I wouldn't have been able to enter the country, so...
Because in New Zealand, it was basically normal after like 3 weeks.
Well, normal in the sense that we could do stuff in New Zealand, but you couldn't leave and no one could come in. The borders were closed literally until 2022, so they were closed for like 2 years. Being in New Zealand, I mean, at least for me, like I know obviously some people struggled and everything, it was pretty good. Like the actual first lockdown, I think was like 5.5 weeks or something like that. And then we had like levels. Lockdown was level 4, then level 3 was like, you couldn't eat in restaurants, but you could come in for takeaways and stuff like that. And then level 2 was minimal restrictions, like you could go everywhere, but you had to do the sign-in bullshit and wear masks everywhere. I work in a restaurant and I had to wear a mask all the time, which is really fun, by the way. But yeah, no, it was fine. I actually got used to it after a while. That went on for a while. I don't really remember how long.
You didn't lose the British sarcasm in... Sarcasm? Yeah, that's the word. in moving to New Zealand. You've got a bit of the accent. It might not show up, but you do a little bit. You say things like, taking you to the airport, and I was talking to Bean yesterday.
If you say so, but...
If you say so. What was it about London that you went, okay, I want to go all the way across the world to... New Zealand's quite similar to England in a way, but there must be some huge differences. What were you looking for that was in Christchurch that London didn't have?
At that point, maybe when I was like 25 or something, I was like, yeah, eventually I want to live in Australia. I just love Australia in general. I mean, obviously it's massive, but pretty much everywhere I went, I enjoyed, and I like the people. And it's not like specifically I hate London. It's just a different atmosphere. I mean, I don't like big cities. I'm not a big city person anyway, so...
Yeah, and London is a pretty huge city, so...
Yeah, there's so many people, it's like overwhelming. Especially now, when I come back, it feels overstimulating. Like, it's just a bit... Ugh.
Yeah, especially now since you've been away for so long.
Yeah, exactly.
What are the main differences between London and Christchurch? Like, I know London, there's a huge amount of people. Christchurch, there are just less people walking around in the streets.
Definitely. Also sometimes, like, especially on weekdays, when I finish work, say if I finish even around like 9:30, between 9:30 and 10, I'll come out and I'll be like, I feel like I'm basically alone in the city, which definitely never happens here. And if it does, it's like, oh my god, like, it's the apocalypse.
It might happen in like 6 a.m. or something when you're going to the airport.
Yeah.
Or the airport, as you say.
There's that, obviously. It's definitely less busy. And sometimes when I'm in the city centre of Christchurch, I'm like, oh my god, why is it so fucking busy? What's going on? And there's like 200 people. But like, to me, it seems very busy. And obviously there's busier times of year when there's tourists, when the weather's better. And there's like certain places that are busy, but it's just not comparable in any way.
Even for me, it's quite... Sometimes, it's not overwhelming, it's just annoying. There's places like Oxford Circus where I try and avoid it, but it's like there's so many people that you can't even move, and then tourists especially are just quite slow, so I find that particularly annoying.
Being back in the summer, which literally this is my first time back in the summer in... I don't even remember the last time I was here. It's quite horrific on the train. Like, you can't breathe. It's just like, there's just no fucking air. It's disgusting. And yeah, no. That's awful. And it's weird, the heat is actually different here. Christchurch has pretty mild weather, like it doesn't get super hot or super cold. It's almost like a similar temperature to London, heat-wise and cold-wise. And
Temperature-wise.
yeah, but then it's like gets more in your bones here. Like when it's hot
Yeah.
here, even when it's cold here, I feel like the air is always sweaty. Like it's just always horrid.
Yeah, you don't sound like you like it here very much. Do you remember your first day in Christchurch, when you first arrived?
I remember the first night I went to a hostel and the reception guy was really nice and he was actually from England. And yeah.
From London or?
No, I forget where now. He was very nice though. It's not like I've never been a backpacker or like travelling my own, but I feel like there's always that anxiety when you land in like a foreign country and you don't know where you are, you don't know where you're going type thing. And also I just have a generally bad sense of direction, so I'm pretty sure I went the wrong way in the first place, but it's just bound to happen to me.
You found your way to your hostel, you found yourself an Englishman within 2 seconds, and then you stayed in the hostel for...
I ended up staying there for 6 months in the end.
6
I
months?
literally stayed there
In a
until...
hostel?
Yeah, because I worked in the hostel. Like, I wasn't planning on doing it. I went to Christchurch in the first place, then I was like, yeah, I fucking hate this place. I think it was just the weather. It seemed super depressing there. There just wasn't much going on. And then I just went on a little trip and I met some random other backpackers and I went around with them and that was for just over a week. I actually met a guy in the hostel, I think literally, I stayed my first night, I woke up in the morning and I was like brushing my hair in the mirror and then he was just like, hi, and I was like, hi. And then he was like asking me what else, what everybody does when you're in a hostel, you'll ask like, where did you come from, where are you going, like blah, 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 like asking you all these questions and he was like, don't say Christchurch is so shit, I hate this place, it's awful. And then I was just like, okay. And he was like, go to Queenstown, it's so good. And I did end up going there. I just really didn't enjoy it at all. Mostly because it's very small and it was like brimming with people. Like it was just, they were fucking bursting out the seams and it was all drunk fucking English guys. And I was just like, well, don't need to be here for that because I can just go home. It's really like lovely there actually. Having gone back post-COVID, it was so much less busy and it's actually a really, really nice place. But just beforehand, it was just too much. I can't be dealing with all those everywhere.
People,
Yeah, people, God forbid. So I went back to Christchurch and then I ended up getting a job in a restaurant and I got a job in the hostel, first as housekeeping, then as reception. I literally stayed there until COVID.
And then it kept you in within the 4 walls of Christchurch. Would you have considered doing something differently? Because I know you said that the plan wasn't to stay in Christchurch. However, you did end up staying for a good number of years. What would have been the perfect plan for you?
I'm annoyingly the type of person who thinks way too much about the past and I'm like, oh, if I made this decision at this age then maybe I would have been here and I would have been there and blah, 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 blah. And it's like, I don't really believe in regrets because like, I mean, you can fucking waste your life away thinking about that stuff. So I pretty much like wasted my second Australian visa and I didn't work the whole time there. I left the country and then I went back when I only had like 3 months left of it, which was clearly a very smart idea.
Sarcasm again.
Yeah. If I could have not done that, I would have not done that and then just had the entire year there and then potentially I would have stayed in Australia rather than going to New Zealand. But I don't really regret it. Like, I like being in New Zealand and everything.
Was the appeal of New Zealand and Australia the fact that it's English speaking? So would you have picked somewhere closer if... Would you have left me if...
Honestly, the thing with Australia, I always used to think it was something to do with Home and Away. I watched Home and Away and I was like, oh my God, it looks like paradise, let's go there. But looking back, I think it was my therapist that told me to go there. As in, she wasn't like, you need to go there, obviously. But I totally forgot about it. It was only in retrospect that I was like, she lived there for years. She must have been talking it up to me. Yeah, I felt like it was a mixture of things. Even Talia, my best friend, she was always like, oh, why didn't you wait for me? We could have gone together. But then looking back, I just think I wouldn't have made any friends if I went with you or like, you know, anyone that I'm close with. I just wouldn't have because...
It forces you to...
Yeah, exactly. And I'm the type of person, I literally need to be forced to meet people in a situation where I just will never ever do anything, you know. I'm like the opposite of you, going up to people and like, oh, hello, do you speak French, do you speak Spanish? I'm like, oh, I heard you.
Oh my God, I love it when people do that. It's like they do an imitation of me. It makes me feel so popular. So I guess the thing I really want to know is is moving across the world worth it to get away from me? I mean, London.
I didn't like go to Australia and New Zealand because it was far away. That's like one of the only places you can get a working holiday visa.
Because you're from the UK?
Yeah, I mean, lots of people can obviously get it as well, but me being from the UK, there is a couple of places. I remember I looked it up. Canada as well. I mean, also English speaking. I assume it's something to do with the Commonwealth. I have no idea.
Oh, the Commonwealth.
I don't know anything about that stuff. For example, nowadays, I probably would want to go somewhere in Europe, but can't really do that, so...
Yeah, moment silence for the UK leaving the EU.
I can't really say I wouldn't recommend it because I literally recommend it to everyone. Obviously, I work in a restaurant and I end up meeting so many backpackers and they're all younger than me, and I'm always like, look, I feel like if you go travelling, you won't regret it. That was literally, I think, the thing that, I don't want to say saved my life because that sounds a bit OTT, but also definitely made me a different person, I reckon. Just more, I don't know, confident, I guess.
So you could say leaving London made you who you are today?
Yeah, I was saying that literally last night. I feel like if I would have done what a lot of people did and stayed at home until the time when I could afford to move out, I feel like my life would have just been, I don't know, utterly depressing. And it's like, it's not really that
I like how you
much.
said, I don't know, utterly depressing.
It's not that much. It's like nothing to do with obviously being at home specifically and being with my mum, obviously. It's just that I wouldn't have pushed myself to do anything. I was like forced into a situation basically where I had to meet people.
Are you going to eat these because... Are you going to eat them for the rest of the time? Are you just going to sit there and eat? Right. Well, I guess I'm gonna I guess I'm gonna sign off. It was great speaking to you today in a very formal capacity.
Yeah, it's been great.
It's been great.
Guys.
Hello. Hello. This is the end of today's session. Therapy with my sister.
Oh, Sarah.
Sarah. If you did enjoy the video, give it a thumbs up or give it a comment, and hope to see you soon. Thank you for watching. Did I say that already? I don't know. Thank you. Bye.
Bye.
Stum.
Sorry.
Shut up.
Go on.